Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're stepping into an old, dusty theater to break down a timeless parable. It's a story that asks a question many of us wrestle with every single day. What does it really mean to be successful? At the very heart of our story is this quote from our guide, an old actor named Chin Lao. Roughly, it means, life is like a play, and a play is like life, so why take it all so seriously? Now, this guy has spent his entire life on the stage, and from his quiet, empty theater, he sees the whole world as one giant performance. And believe me, his perspective is about to change a couple of lives forever. So, okay, every great play needs its actors, right? Let's meet our two main players, whose lives are on a collision course, and things are about to get very, very dramatic. So on one side, you've got Zhao Ziyang. He's the very picture of modern cutthroat success, a high-flying CEO who is absolutely nailing the role of the winner. And on the other side, well, that's Li Cheng. He's a simple contractor, Zhao's former business partner, and he's about to get completely steamrolled by Zhao's ambition. You see, Zhao's whole life was a performance, and it was driven by a really specific script, the relentless, single-minded pursuit of external success. For him, it was all about the flashiest costume and the most impressive props. In his version of the play of life, the only role that mattered was being the winner. I mean, look at his script. It was just about accumulating more money, more status, more everything. He truly believed happiness was something you could own, and he was willing to do pretty much anything to get the best props on that stage. And that cost, yeah, it was steep. To lock down this huge land deal, Zhao set a pretty sophisticated trap that absolutely destroyed his old partner, Li Cheng, left him bankrupt and just shattered. For Zhao, it was just business, another clever move in the game. But for Li Cheng, it felt like the end of the world. So completely broken, Li Cheng wanders into Chin Lao's old, empty theater, thinking about ending it all. But instead of getting pity, the old actor offers him this incredible piece of wisdom. He tells him, look, all those things Zhao has, the wealth, the power, they aren't real. They're just props. And you know what? Props are heavy. And when the play is over, you have to leave every single one of them behind. Now, taking Chin Lao's advice to heart, Li Cheng doesn't go looking for revenge. No. Instead, he starts a totally new act in his life. And just as he finds his footing, Zhao Ziyang's grand production, well, it starts to spectacularly collapse.
And just like that, the roles completely reverse. A huge, high-risk investment goes south, and Zhao's entire company just implodes. He loses everything: the fancy car, the penthouse, the so-called friends. All his props get repossessed. Meanwhile, Li Cheng starts using his construction skills to help poor families. And in doing so, he finds a new purpose that has nothing to do with props. He's rewriting his own script.
Now, with nothing, totally alone, it finally clicks for Zhao. He wasn't some master of the universe. He was just an actor who was defined by his costume. And without it, he felt like he was nothing. And in total desperation, he ends up wandering to the one place he'd always ignored, a place he thought was for has-beens, Qin Lao's old theater. When Chin Lao finds the ruined CEO, he doesn't gloat or say, "I told you so." Instead, he explains that Zhao hasn't really lost anything of actual value. What's happened is that he's been given a chance, a rare opportunity, to change his script and find the real substance of his performance. This is where Chin Lao introduces this beautiful concept, the Si Yi He, or the play's core. He explains that a truly great performance isn't about the expensive props or the fancy stage. It's about the heart. It's about the intention, the inner truth that an actor brings to their role. It's the substance, not the surface. Qin Lao tells Zhao to stop playing the role of the greedy self. He says, look, this failure, it's actually a gift. It's your chance to start a brand new play, a better play, maybe one called Doing Good Deeds for the World. He's basically reframing failure not as an ending, but as a costume change for a much, much better role. And taking this profound wisdom to heart, Zhao begins the third act of his life. And as it turns out, it's the most important act of all. So what does he do? He seeks out the very man he ruined, Li Cheng, who's now busy helping poor families fix up their homes. And instead of begging or making excuses, Zhao just humbly picks up a brick and asks if he can help. It's this incredibly powerful moment of redemption. And together, they start writing a new script for their lives. First comes reconciliation. Then they build a new social enterprise, not for massive profits, but for genuine purpose. And through this work, Zhao finally discovers this deep sense of fulfillment, an inner peace that all his money and status could never, ever buy. He's learning that the rewards of kindness are so much greater than the rewards of greed. And this was Qin Lao's final, most important lesson. The performance of our lives, it isn't really for an external audience. The applause that truly matters, the only review that really counts, comes from within, from the peace and the goodness we manage to cultivate in our own hearts. So this whole parable leaves us with a pretty powerful question for our own lives, doesn't it? When your final curtain falls, what's going to be left on the stage? Just a pile of shiny, meaningless props? Or the legacy of a script well written, a role played with heart, and a performance that brought a little more good into the world?